world, its weather. Not dawn, but the microwave, doing its mysterious molecule rattling with a cup of coffee. The hum, comfort, and glow. Up this early, I can't help it if I see a dead ringer for the sun there next to the sink. For a time, I was a twin. I waited in something I imagine as a planetarium with the one who was not me, who would disappear. This was before my brain began to take its automatic notes, so I felt nothing that I know of when the partition went up between us. I was assigned to this world, its weather and oceans and dark 6 a.m. kitchens, my body well suited to transmit messages, how spring came all of a sudden with its mania of crocuses, how it burnt just now, the coffee pulled from its star. I fire my circuitry, feel each thing the way a fax machine would, brilliant as it passes through. Somewhere I must have a sister circuit wired in mirror image. All night I understand the data to be hers. Spring formal. The cigarette vending machine can tell I'm not old enough. It scans my skin and bones, calculates, refuses to vend. No machine accepts my invitation to prom. Their default screen flashes help yourself, and I allow myself the clunk of one orange crush. Each sip, he crushes me not. A small difference, like the one between getting stoned and stoning, confusing verbs like lay, lie, laid. Getting and not doing is vending machine sex logic. It's April and it snows all over the plum blossoms. Everywhere girls put on jewelry and corsages. Some of the blousy red tulips have black, dusted throats. Fill in the blank. Is warehouse to house as werewolf is to wolf? Am I in a pack now? What with the dark, what with that bellyish yellow moon of homes gone toothsome? Someone's general decree. Things shall be scary at night. Things shall be boarded up. This shall be to that thing as this is to. I am to him as he is to. Yes, I am uncomfortable when I see the pear grown inside the bottle. In the test question, I confess I am the pear. We are trained to fill the blank. No relationship is without that vacant sidecar, not even, especially not, the lonesome. Here, my lamp shadow taking over the empty street. Eyes are to the soul as windows are to the TV. The best shows I've seen walking the dog at night, which is to say, I've seen in the lit blue interiors a kindred spirit fallen in love with whatever we live in that is bottleish, whatever we fill. Ruth. Sometimes a twin absorbs her sibling in the womb. My mother bled a little, so maybe I did this. I knew, even then, what sympathy was, another discomfort. Nonetheless, they named me Ruth, which is a kind of compassion nobody wants anymore. The surviving half of the pair of words is ruthless. My eco-terrorism handbook says some plants come back forever through anything. I've planted a few stands of bamboo where they'll grow through the floor of the new strip mall. Like Ruth the Moabite, I desire to be something that can't be gotten rid of easily. Loyal, she gleaned in the grain, and maybe something went on with Boaz on the threshing floor in the dark of morning. All this I read in the Bible, which is a kind of handbook that helps people name babies. I miss, I guess, the one who should have been Ruth, whose name I stole and wore. I took a little of her as collateral damage. This poem has an epigraph that is just from the Wikipedia entry on cell towers and how they can be hidden inside trees, like artificial trees. So in the Northwest, they're fake fir trees, and if you get like into the Southwest, they're weird metal palm trees by the highway. The new trees. The new trees rise up and up, fingering out one cell in a cellular network. They do everything the old trees did. Listen, collect our discarded breath, transmit it new into air. We need them. We take them ugly and make them hidden, a crown of fronds, green more ever than evergreen. And then we talk to them the way we used to talk to dolls. They weren't quite right. Two lights never blinked, but they were ours and knew our language the way babies never did. How to return. Galveston, Texas, helmetless, my mother fell backwards off her bicycle and hit her head. A hurricane struck, tossed some cars into the ocean. Everyone evacuated while she waited in the hospital, wondering what was the word for that again, to empty a town. The names of her children straggled back to her, one by one, while on the top floor of a Dallas hotel, we watched Inspector Gadget's fingers turn into flashlights. We knew we fled in heavy traffic, a storm, but not that we had been cast from our mother. Surely memory goes somewhere if it can come back, but then the world's handled it, gotten its smell all over everything. I wish I'd known enough to leave through a wall, breaking cartoon-like a perfect body-shaped hole. This is the only way, isn't it, to know how to return exactly to the same place as the same daughter? Delayed flight. I love the word terminal because it conjures a huge window to taxiing planes, to planes taking off. That clockwork access to sky. Sorry, I'm sorry to twist the airport into morose metaphor. Here, a joke to make up for it. Two muffins are in an oven. One muffin says to the other, "It's getting hot in here," and the other says, "Holy shit, a talking muffin." I don't know why this is funny, except how silly to need to be reminded to turn to you and say, "We're in this together." The right thing to say and how close it is to being true. Spasm. He tells me what's wrong with her makes her move all night, as if she's a seed pod inhabited by the larva of a moth. What my father really says is, "I'm sleeping next to a Mexican jumping bean, but I look up what this means and receive the image of my mother, opening down her middle, a soft brown moth there, twitching its fringed wings." This makes the only sense of anything I've thought yet. The language of neurology is pictureless as a ceiling. I leave the encyclopedia open to the illustration of the almost circle the larva chews in the pod's husk, only to seal it shut with silk before going about the business of transformation. Later, the new moth, mouthless, will push through the trap door, enter the world of air. If my mother imagines death, she hasn't told me what it looks like. Okay. Two more. New evidence of water. It was a mistake, perhaps, to pick the most loyal breed of dog. The day, after all, is always breaking into 2 or more pieces, war, post-war, etc. We occupy ourselves, the dog and I, with the news of our incredible luck, our tiny orbit at the Goldilocks distance from the sun, where water is neither frozen nor steam. Everything else is an uninhabitable zone, which must be what I'm looking at every time I look into the distance or into the laptop, which is a kind of distance, its own telescopic view not only into space but also of a gutted tank, of a woman in a green dress climbing out of a pile of cinder blocks. The buildings on Earth seem to be either flattened or huge, depending. In other news, some horizon has a nick in it, which means there may have been water once on the moon. On TV, a boat parts the Great Pacific Trash Vortex only for a second. I think we must want to leave, except gravity so loves us we can't help but love the world we made and all its shadows. One follows me around like a dog. So this last poem gets its epigraph from one of those websites where people go to ask how to beat the video game that they're playing. And the epigraph is, how do I get to the country redneck places in GTA 2? I die and I can't find it anymore. Regarding Grand Theft Auto 2. Sex, your shadow, a really good tangerine. Some things are forever lost when you die, though not the rednecks. Drive northwest and you'll find them in Redemption. Their pickups are parked outside of Disgraceland's, that Elvis bar where the jukebox flips the days over like pancakes and never takes requests. You'll realize after a while that the music just plays in a loop. A dog in Argentina has visited his master's grave every day for 6 years now, and no one knows how he even found the cemetery. That's real life. It was in the news. Somewhere else is the dog's master, looking around from the top-down 2D game view. Life seems to go on in the hereafter, but it's different. He's still trying to learn the new controls for his car. He doesn't know yet that it doesn't really matter if he crashes over and over, so he drives carefully. Sometimes he tries the escape button just to see. If you see him, you should tell him that he can go to the mobile home park where the rednecks run the car crusher, or to the church where the neon sign flickers from Jesus saves to you save, but he can't go home, and he should stop looking for the edges of the game. Thank you.